was told that she couldn't play with the boys. She was told that they were too big, too rough, too strong. She was told to give up her dreams and move on. She was told to just be pretty, be quiet, be a lady. She was told that women had to stay on their side of the court, stay in your lane. Playing and competing with men was insane. She was told that men and women would never be equal. Dreaming like that would only be lethal to your mind, to your soul. She never listened. She knew that their thinking was old. She is magic. She is the definition of spirit. She is what champions are made of. She is now.
Hello, everyone. I'm so glad you tuned in. My name is Liv Warfield. I'm so excited to be here. I am actually on Soul City Network. Thank you for sponsoring. Tonight is going to be so exciting for me. I am the owner of and actually CEO of my nonprofit, Independent Artists at Work. This is our first workshop and it is for free. Do you understand, y'all? This is for free. Tonight is going to be a wealth of knowledge that is not always accessed for free. Let me tell you a little bit about Independent Artists at Work. This is Independent Artists at Work creates the roadmap for artist empowerment. The reason why I created it is definitely because I want to give the tools necessary for entrepreneurship, to be able to access community inclusion, and also to just kind of give artists the roadmap on their success, because there is power in independence. And so what could be better than starting the power of independence? And also, let me not forget, when I say community inclusion, I mean artists or any artist, let's just say passing on the power to give back. Okay, it is very, very important in the Independent Artists IAAW to pay it forward. So this actually is a great lead up to somebody who's been paying it forward for me. And the basis of laying that foundation is having your financial success. So I wanted to start this off properly and have Dr. Jana Woodhouse. But before we bring her on, let me just tell you a little bit about Jana. First off, I love her. She is amazing. And not only is she amazing for me personally, for my story, is that Jana understands the artist. And there are a lot of things that artists, sometimes we end up falling victim to as we get excited. We get our first mail check. Sometimes it's $100 or $3 or $30,000, and you do not know what to do with those funds. Okay. You get excited, you get a little bit of money and you go and you spend. Okay. Whereas you could be planning for your future. Sometimes artists do not get recognized as somebody who's hard at work or a classified job. So we are having to do the paperwork more than normally in a corporate setting. So I wanted to, this is one of the projects that I wanted to talk about, everybody, of laying those foundations. So with Dr. Jana B. Woodhouse, let me tell you, she is recognized as a leading financial advisor for over 41 years, all right, in all of the financial service industry. She is an award-winning certified financial planner, registered security broker, a tax consultant. Hello. She is ranked top 1% of fully licensed insurance and investment brokers in America and has been a forerunner in the financial strategy and solutions business for over 2 decades. Jana, personally, that's my girl. Jana, we talked last week on this platform and we didn't have enough time. Hopefully we'll have time tonight, but my eyes were opened. A lot of stuff that I didn't know as being an independent. So without further ado, so I don't want to keep talking because I want you guys to get this knowledge for free again. Please welcome Dr. Jana B. Woodhouse.
Thank you. Thank you, Liv.
Yes.
Thank you. And thank you for creating this organization, the Independent Artists at Work. I think this is awesome.
Thank you.
Through the years, I have had a love for our artists. And I have seen so many lose their money. Everybody's got a piece of the action. We hear all those stories from the past. And so this is awesome to be able to, spearhead a forum on it, because I have always wanted, back in the days, we started an infrastructure system with my brother Matt for Hottest Poets, because I was appalled to see how artists were being treated and what could happen, and my mother, bless her soul, was a poet. And I mean, we used to I would be fighting for her to get, just a little bit of something. They just wanted to give her some water,
Right.
And I was like, no, we're not playing this. So yes, what you're doing is awesome. And so I'm glad to be here, and I'm looking forward to sharing this knowledge, and keep coming. I'll come back.
Yes, please. So please tell me, and please tell us about basically the first things about an artist when they come into, let's say a sum of money. What are some of the things that artists kind of get stuck in the rut of? I know, for one, when you get a nice big check, you ain't never had that money before, right? And then you go off and you're spending, right? But then you're not dotting the I's and the T's, or crossing the T's at all about taxes, or about the breakdown of what is it, tax credits, or
all the credits and how to get paid.
Write-offs.
Yeah, there's a lot, and we can't, of course, do it in one session, but I'm going to talk about some of those things. I'm going to present some things today. But when these artists, when you are just, you already identified yourself as an artist. Okay, so you are. I don't care if you haven't made a dollar. You're an artist. Yeah. So once you have claimed that, then what you have to do is put your team together. This is where, and you don't have to pay everybody up front or whatever, but you need to know you have your business structure. How are you going to get paid? How are you going to pay taxes? You don't want Uncle Sam and all the rest of the uncles coming in and taking your money later, because it can get ugly. Right. And so when you first start, is to put your team together. You need a good attorney that will just, even if they look, you don't have to pay a lot for an attorney. You can go in and say, look, how much will you charge me for 1 hour?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want a whole retainer. I just want 1 hour. Okay. Right. And come with your questions. It's like, okay. And then you need to have a good financial advisor who will say, okay, you don't have anything right now, but we need to go through. And what we're going to talk about today is some of the structures, the basic 6 steps that you need to know. Okay. Everybody needs to know, but artists really need to just pay attention, because I don't want to bewilder your mind with a lot. You got to do your artistry. Yeah. You've got to perform. Right. That's in itself. But you need to have a trusted financial advisor to work with you. You also need a good accountant. See, I come 2 in 1. But you need to have that to work with you, to give you the guidance. They don't have to be around you 24 hours a day, but you do have to, they can hear certain things and say, okay, you need to watch this. Or you're getting a check for a certain amount. Let's budget this out. Let's sit and talk and budget it out. You have what's called in the industry the feast and the famine. You have sometimes where the money is just flowing and it looks like it's never going to stop. And then all of a sudden it stops. And you have to put a dime away. And here comes all of a sudden, you haven't paid any taxes on it because you thought everybody was nice to you and they just gave you money. They, you see the 1099 form and you go, oh, that's nice. Thank you.
That's nice. Yeah. Thank you.
That was nice. I appreciate it. But here comes Uncle Sam who says, yeah, well, where's my mom? Where's mine? Hello. You got to pay me. You got to give me something. And there's ways of definitely having Uncle Sam get less. See, I'm not trying to tell folks to avoid taxes. I'm just saying pay a little less, pay a lot less.
Right.
You know, give to Uncle Sam what's supposed to go to Uncle Sam, and make sure you got your money put in the back there, you
Right.
know. And they've now created in many ways with artists restrictions.
Mm-hmm.
They demand that you take a W-2 form,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and by doing so, a W-2, they've taken out the Social Security, the Medicare tax, some disability insurance, all that stuff's going to come out.
Mm-hmm.
And then after they take that, if there's money for you to put into maybe, you know, the Actors Fund 401k or whatever, you do that. And
Mm-hmm.
then whatever's left, you get.
And
That's
let's keep this open. It's not just for musicians. It's also painters or um,
independent.
independent. It all okay. Okay.
Yeah, independent. You know, I have had clients who, you know, they're all different genres of artistry, but
Mm-hmm.
it's for everyone. And this, I'm sure your organization is for everyone who is an artist.
Correct.
Like I said, when you first start, you start off and you claim it. This
Yeah.
is your career. You know, it's not a job,
Yeah.
it's a career.
Your career.
And
Yes.
that's where we're paying dues so that we can benefit from this. But you can't do it if you're not set up properly.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, they'll and people, especially companies, will come to you and they'll say things like, well, how do you want to receive your money?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you don't know any better, you say, well, money,
Yeah.
give it to me,
Me.
you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And so some will think that they will set up a sole proprietorship. Some people will, you know, do that. Well, that's nothing. That's just you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're not saving anywhere. You might do an LLC, which Lord knows when these LLCs were created, it was. I know attorneys love them because um, people who set up corporations don't follow the rules, and so the corporate veil will be pierced. The corporate veil is to prevent you from being sued.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that's where we see other artists like Toni Braxton. She went and did her own show, and she was the promoter. The show didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
People came for her, but
Mm-hmm.
if she had been set up properly, they could only come for that one
For the
event.
company. So
Hmm.
really quick, a good question is what is good to set up as a independent, just as you, right? Would it is it good for you to be LLC? Is it good for you to be incorporated? Is it good for you to, to be a, sole proprietor? Like,
The answer is depending upon what you're doing and where you're at. You may have every single one of those entities in existence. You may be just yourself, you know, because it's a small project and you know you ran in, you got a couple of dollars, call it a day. Then you may have it where it's a long run,
mm-hmm,
and you know you don't want all that money up under you. So
mm-hmm,
then at that point, you may establish yourself as a corp or S corp, which is a little
okay,
bit better because you can take the deductions. If you are a sole proprietorship or you are a one member LLC, you
okay,
you that's what you are. You're gonna pay whatever the profit is. You're gonna pay what they call self-employment tax.
mm-hmm,
So you're going to pay into Social Security even if you think you're running away from it. You not may not get it, may not. You know, that's a debate. They say that Social Security may last until was it 2035, but now because we've gotten all of this money up front with this COVID, it might make it to 2029. We don't know, you know. But if you really are an artist, you should be independent
yeah,
and you shouldn't have somebody in your pocket with a W-2. So if you do have that, then you should set up. You have different entities and you need to sit with an accountant and your financial advisor to see which one would work better for you. Don't just go out there and do them, you know,
mm-hmm,
because you'll get them. Like some people set up a corporation. I had one person, she's a designer, and she set up someone told her,
mm-hmm,
I call it, you know, Joe the elevator man.
mm-hmm,
Somebody came up with this idea and told her to open up a corporation, and it was a C corp, and they told her to do it in Delaware. Hmm.
Mhm.
And so therefore you have certain components there. And she turned around, and when she got to me, she was owing somewhere around about $150,000 because she had registration fees and things that she didn't make any money. She had no money. She did not make any money, but there's these fees were building. And
Mhm.
so we had to negotiate to let folks look. She didn't know what she was doing. So we told the state of Delaware she didn't know. She opened it up here, but she didn't know that this was what was going to happen.
Mhm.
And she hasn't made any money. Can we talk?
Yeah.
And so it took us about almost a year, but we did get to talk, you
Mhm.
know. And see, that's the other problem with this COVID thing going on. You can't talk to anybody at IRS. It's so
Right.
hard,
Yeah. Yeah.
but we talked to the IRS and for the state of Delaware and found out that, look, can we negotiate something?
Right.
And so for a couple of $100, we negotiated, and they forgave the bill.
Mhm.
But you got to, before you start, you got to know that you got, and this is anybody who's coming out with their career, you have to structure yourself. So
Okay.
what's best, some artists would like to remove themselves totally, and the corporation, and I do a class on this also. It's what we call E to E, from employee to entrepreneur.
Okay.
And the whole concept behind it is, well, what are you trying to protect? And
Mm.
how much money are you putting out of your pocket? Because if you're not putting out any money out of your pocket, you may not care about being able to deduct. You
Mhm.
want the corporation to receive the money and to deduct the money. And if you're making a lot of money, which, is relative to wherever anybody thinks, some people think a lot of money is $1,000 a week. And
Mhm.
some people think that $1,000 every minute
Yeah.
with them. Uh, okay, so the thing is that though, when you get this money, you need to know, what can I do, or I'm contracted to get this money. So
Mhm.
now what do I do, as far as protecting myself against taxes? So
Mhm.
maybe a C corp would do better,
Okay.
because your maximum tax is going to be 21%.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's pretty good. Okay,
Mhm.
but if you don't have that situation and a lot of the money's coming out of your pocket,
Yeah.
well, then you may need to have something like an S corp, whereas at least you get a break. Now with the S corp, the beauty in it is that the money that you acquire, it goes to the corp, it goes to the S corp, and it's filtered through to the
Okay.
shareholders. Now
Mhm.
you might be the only shareholder.
Right. Okay.
Okay, you can do that.
Mhm.
But by having it, you are obliged, as a shareholder and part of the board of directors working that S corp, you do have to take an income as the owner. So
Okay.
you have to pay some, but that can be done simple. They with IRS has these wonderful words, reasonable.
Uh-huh.
Okay, what is reasonable?
What is reasonable? Yeah.
Right. So you may have earned 200,000, but a reasonable salary for what you are going to pull maybe 20,000.
Mhm.
The rest of it went to the corporation, and
Yeah.
then the corporation can also reimburse you for certain things. You know how we work for people,
Mhm.
and they say, well, we'll cover your cell phone bill.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, your corporation can cover your cell phone bill too, because your corp is separate from you.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
that's the whole thing that people have to get to learn about business, is that these are business strategies.
Yeah.
And you have to strategize to see what's best for you and how you save your money,
Mhm.
and make money. And
Mhm.
so that's the S corp. Now the LLC, guess what? The LLC is just an entity that is on the state level. The federal government will turn to you and say, "That's nice. You're an LLC. How are
Mhm.
you taxed? What did
Uh,
you put down?" Because they say, "Well, if you're one member, you're going to be a sole
self-employment
proprietor."
tax for them.
Uh,
Is it self-employment tax for
you
them?
for them, they're going to look, if they see you're a sole member, one member in an LLC, you're going to go to what's called the Schedule C, and you're going to pay taxes like you just earned money. And
Yeah.
you're going to pay Social Security tax, which is called self-employment tax.
Mhm.
And, you know, you get to deduct certain amount. But then also there's some things there with that Schedule C, because after 3 to 5 years, if you still taking a loss, Uncle Sam can turn around and say, that was really good. You earned this money, and 5 years you have taken a loss.
Mhm.
And now we don't think this is really a business, because
Mhm.
businesses make profit. So you're looking at the situation that you're no longer doing a profit. You're trying to figure out where do I go from here? And they turn around and say, we'll count all the income that you made, but we're not going to let you take one deduction.
Oof.
There you go.
Hello, LLC people out there.
And
It
so at
really
that point, they're looking at you, and you're looking at them and say, wait a minute, but yes, you made, you know, 100,000, you made $50,000, and every year you keep claiming a loss.
Mhm.
Well, this is a hobby. This is
Mhm.
not, you're not making money. You're not in it for profit. So if you're not in it for profit, you don't get to take the deductions. But
Right.
IRS is very willing to say, but you reported all this income, so now you got to pay us taxes on it. And not only are you going to pay us taxes, but you're going to pay us interest, and you're going to pay us some penalties because you didn't pay us early enough.
Right. Right.
Don't put yourself in that kind of position.
Someone said S corp question mark.
Right. So I guess they want to know what an S corp. That's there's a C corp and an S corp. These are statutes. So the S corp, what it allows you to do is that it sort of lets a person participate in their corporation. They have the corporation. They will draw an income because they're participating in the corporation. They're active in it, but also they're eligible to move and take deductions that maybe a person who is, especially with this new tax law. That's why I have never loved W-2 forms, and I'm gonna talk about that in a quick minute. But back to the S corp. But you take your income if you have the W-2, you take your income, but you can't deduct things.
Mhm.
With the new tax law that we just are embarked upon in 2018, you can't take your voice lessons. You can't take your photos, your headshots, your trips, all of that stuff because you're W-2. You know, that's not allowed on the federal level.
Mhm.
That's called job-related expenses, not deductible. Now, in the state, you may be able to, but it's only certain states. Okay.
Mhm.
So when you're with that level, but then what about the rest of the money? That's where the shareholders come into play. Now you're the shareholder,
Mhm.
and you're allowed. I know in New York we're allowed to be one board of directors.
Oh
And
wow.
so you may be the board of directors, and you may be also the shareholder, the whole holding 200 shares of your corporation, your S corp.
Mhm.
Okay, great. Now, when it comes down to you need to take a trip, and we've hired you, Liv Warfield, okay, to do a show. So we're gonna pay you a salary for that. But Liv Warfield Corporation, S corp, is sitting there with the money, bringing the money in, and can deduct your travel,
Mhm.
your attire that needed to be on stage that you're only using for that, your
Right.
promo pieces, your limousines, your da, you know, all the stuff that you need. Now you deduct that. After you get to deduct that, oh, then you can set up also for your employee, Liv Warfield. Okay,
Mhm.
she can have a retirement plan.
Mhm.
That money goes in. Okay, we want to put some money away for that. We're going to match it even.
Yeah.
And then whatever's left, that's what the government gets to take.
Mhm. Okay.
Okay. Now, in a corp, all of that can also be done. But on a sole proprietorship or a one member LLC, that's not happening.
Okay.
Okay. So that's why setting up, what do you see yourself doing? What I do when I sit with my clients, I want to know where they're going. You know, I'll ask that question. What do we look like this year? What's
Yeah. Yeah.
appointments? What sort of gigs do you have? already lined up. What do you think, what kind of contracts you're working with? And then at that point, we can estimate, because we do have to pay what they call estimated taxes. That's another one they get you for. You didn't pay enough, you haven't paid, and the rule is you have to pay at least 90% of your tax liability by January of the next year, or you're going to get a penalty for withholding. So these are the things that we have to be careful about. So in answering, I went all around to your question, but the bottom line is how do you figure it out as independent artists? You need to build your team. And one thing, which is going to lead to what I'm talking about, is that you got to know how money works.
Yeah.
It is not taught in the schools.
It's not.
It should be, but it's not, and it's a phenomenal that they will teach us and fight to teach us sex education. That we can probably figure out on our own. Okay.
Yeah, right.
But what they do is that instead they don't teach us how money works, and what does that really mean? What is compound interest? 66% of Americans don't understand how money compounds.
Yeah.
And so these are the things. I see a question: can you do both an LLC and a corp? Your LLC can be taxed as a corp. Yes, it can be. Your LLC, depending upon what you're doing, your LLC, the corp can own an LLC.
Yeah.
See there? You can also have your LLC taxed as a S corp. Okay, and it can still be, because what the idea of the LLC, why they created it, and I have debated a lot of attorneys when this first came out. I was like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
It's on the state side. The feds are still coming for you. How is this? The reason why attorneys like it is because when you're setting up your business entity, you're setting it up so that it won't be pierced and taken where someone can sue you. That's all that it's about. Look, I live in Sioux City. It's New York. Okay. So I know our objective is, how do we not get sued if it should happen? And so if someone's dissatisfied, they can't go beyond the corporation or the S corp to get to your personal assets. Now, if you don't have any personal assets, you might say, I don't care, but you shouldn't, because you should care, because that day that you make that big contract and they got that suit that was cleared years ago, they come in to collect.
Yeah.
They will come to collect. So you need to protect yourself. A biggest example which people could relate to was O.J. Simpson. Everybody wonders why the Brown family sued him and they didn't give me money. Okay, all his money's protected.
Yeah.
Protected with annuity, insurance products, no can touch. Okay. If he sold the book and he sold it under even a trust, I don't know how he set it up, but if you sell and you have a trust, that means that's another entity that you don't own. See, in this world, we're in the world of capitalism. I don't have a problem with capitalism. You make money. The thing is that you got to know what you're doing. And one of the biggest vehicles that's out here is having a trust.
Yeah.
Of course, the words of, I believe it was Rockefeller, and he said it so well, which was, you own nothing, but you control everything. That's the power. When they come to look, and an example of it was, this was a few years ago when Enron, I'm sure many of you all heard about Enron when that was, the fiasco where there was insider trading, but the beauty in it was listening to the congressional hearing for Judge W. That was my lesson. I sat there and I was like, wow, this is awesome. I said, nobody's seeing this, I'm sure. He sat there. They said, you are accused of insider trading. And he said, I don't own anything. He said, yes, you're Enron. You had X amount of shares of Enron. And that's in my trust. And my mother-in-law is my trustee.
Mm.
I don't own anything. So how can I insider trade? Because I don't own anything.
And that's the thing. It's kind of like these inside jewels that we don't know sometimes, not sometimes, probably most of the time, as artists, that you could put your money here, you could put your money here, I can grow my money here, even in investments. Or like we talked about last week, I want to be 85 or whatever, still singing, cheers, singing, and I know I got my retirement sitting, because all of those years before when I was singing, I was saving.
That's it.
I
And
was
there's
putting money aside.
so many vehicles that you can use that you don't have to wait till you're old and rocking on a chair somewhere. You can do things. And I'm going to put it up here now, is the How Money Works book. I am endorsing it because it's a simple book.
Yeah.
All my clients get this book.
Yes.
And it's free 99, which means it's free. Okay. And I want everybody to read the
Please
book.
get it.
And
Yeah.
if anybody wants the book who's listening, the first 20 people who respond, yes, I see it up, is they can send me an email at anajenterprisesinc@gmail, or they can go to my website, anajenterprises.com, and say, I want a book. Okay. And I will give it to them. I will send it to you. And once you read the book, it doesn't take more than an hour. I know, because I read slow and I was able to read it. Okay. and so once you read it, you're going to have that aha moment. And that's what's so important. We need to know the fundamentals. When we have a house, nobody just puts a house on land. You got to have a foundation, right? You got to build that foundation. And unfortunately, our system in this country does not have it set up so that people have a foundation in how money works.
Right.
And it's not that difficult. Look, the Wall Street Journal is at a 12th grade reading level. So it's not neuroscientists. They want you to think it is. And you can control your wealth. And that's the other thing. As artists, don't play. Do not if somebody is managing your money, that's wonderful. You go look too.
Yeah.
They're not sure what you're looking at, then bring forth your financial advisor, your accountant, to tell that, look, can you take a look at what's happening here? Am I getting what I'm supposed to get? Because they throw stuff at you.
Yeah.
And you think it's great because it sounds good.
Yeah. That's what artists get in trouble with, because 9 times out of 10, when you're excited, or if you're new, anybody who's new that's watching, you get excited because you get your first check. You might have hit it with the streaming, girl. You might have hit it. You get that mailbox money, and then you just don't know what to do with it. And I'm telling you, I wish I had this information. I wish I had the empowerment of the information, because I know I would be set up for my next. I'd be set up for my next triumph, basically.
That's what you need to do. And to be, you can have these entities, and sometimes we set up all these entities and then we're like, well, what do I do with it?
Yep.
And that's so important, to sit down again, to a financial advisor. I have trained financial advisors that work with me, and they're there. It's not about just the money. I tell folks, when they come into the financial service industry, it is not about just getting a lot of money. This is stupid money in this industry. Okay, it's the largest industry in this country. It is larger than the retail and real estate industry combined times 2. $109 trillion. I said a T, trillion. So it's money there. You're going to make your money. Help these people.
Yeah.
You need to help. And my mantra is no community left behind.
Yeah.
Because there's many times that there are communities. The artist community is being left behind. And no one's talking to you.
Exactly.
And that's why, again, I applaud this forum, because this is so important to know the structure of your business. Get the book, read it. Take a little time, walking in the street, read the book. And you're going to see a lot of notoriety and media on the book. But, it's on Amazon. You pay $16 for it. But, hey, you can get it for free. Okay, just whoever this is, Gina. Okay, Gina, just go to my email and send it to me because I'm going to need your address.
Yes.
But that being said, after you get through there, after you've done the reading, and you got a little bit of education, I don't think that you're going to know how to be a certified financial planner through it. Okay, but you're going to be able to ask some serious questions.
Right.
And then once you do that, now we go to the 6 steps of
Mm-hmm.
financial independence.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if you don't mind, I can start that now if you want, or
Yeah.
you have some more questions for me.
No. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm going to start. I don't know, the producer has to release my slide. There we go. Okay, so the 6 steps to financial independence. And so I'm going to go through this fast because I know, we got time and I really want to leave time for some questions.
Okay.
Okay, and so now I'm going to, okay, here we go. And okay, the first step is debt management. Now, I know with the case of debt, nobody here is really suffering from debt.
Mm-hmm.
If you know somebody, okay, it can be a major obstacle in your financial future. And that's one of the things that we have to pay attention to. And so here it is. Sometimes when we get ourselves, and again, it's a trap. It's a trap being done on us. And what's this a trap? When we graduate from high school, we are officially adults. We are 18 years old. We don't know a hill of beans, but we're adults. Okay. And so what do? Someone gives us a credit card. And then we think, oh, I can spend,
Oh, money. Yeah, money. I got
more
money.
money. I
Yeah.
can do stuff. I had a client of mine years ago. She got into deep debt. And I said, how did you get this? She said, they gave me a credit card. I said, okay. And she said it had $500 on it. Okay. I said, what was the interest rate on it? See, that's important.
Yeah.
And so she said, oh, it was about 23, 25%. She said, but the problem was I didn't know with the credit card that I could spend, but I didn't know I had to pay it back.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's just free money.
It's free.
And some people may think, well, that was simple minded, but no, it's not. Because
Right.
the way that people issue those credit cards, it's like, hey, this is money you can buy your books, you can do da 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 da. And then that interest is growing, and you're going to see why compound interest can happen to you. So sometimes when you're in debt, and I have to give tribute to President Obama when he made it mandatory that they show what happens when you pay the minimum amount and then what happens if you just pay a little bit more
Mm-hmm.
and then the minimum. Because if you go to a site, it's IOUSA, it's on YouTube. And in that documentary is the person that created the idea of a minimum payment on a credit card should be 2.5%.
Mm-hmm.
This way and he sold it for millions of dollars to the credit card companies with this one concept. Why? Because if you pay the minimum, you will definitely be in debt for a minimum of 25 years. So that's the game.
There you go.
You see? So
Right.
here, this example here says, suppose you owed $1,500 on a credit card and the interest rate was 18. Little side note, my other side is if you've been married to a credit card company for more than 5 years, you need to make a telephone call and say, hey, we're doing well together. This is a wonderful marriage here, but I think we need to pay less in interest. They can at least reduce it by 1, 2, 3%.
You can make the call.
Hmm?
You can call them.
Yes, you can, and you can get them to reduce it. Especially once you've shown good payment and no
Right.
tax. Yes. And so here's the example here is if you paid the minimum payment, which would be $37 per month on this $1,500, you would pay off your debt basically in about 63 months.
Okay.
But if you just paid $10 more, you would reduce that to 44 months,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and save over $272 in interest.
There you go.
So that's what it's all about. And that's what brings us to the rule of 72. If nobody understands anything else that I say, learn this.
Yes.
Okay. The rule of 72, Einstein called it the eighth wonder of the world. I agree with it. It's how money grows and doubles. If you take the number 72 and divide it by the interest rate that you're receiving on your investment, it will tell you how frequently your money will double.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have an investment, which is possible, of 12% divided into 72, that means every 6 years your money would double.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's take a look at what's happening in today's world.
Mm-hmm.
What's the average interest rate in a bank? About one, really not even one, it's really 0.09%.
Mm-hmm.
So if we take that into consideration, I'm going to give the example because people don't like math. I love math, so I
Yeah.
keep. Okay. So if you take 72 and divide it by 1, that means if you put $1 in the bank today, in 72 years, it'll be $2.
Mm-hmm.
Good luck with that. Okay. It's not going to work.
Right.
Okay. So the example is that, is to make your money grow faster for you. So you're looking at 3, 4, 5%, but who's giving that? It's really in the market.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you have to go. You're not going to get it from the bank because the bank, and this is the other example, Mary owes $10,000 on a loan and her interest rate is 12%.
Mm-hmm.
And so if she doesn't make any payments at this interest rate, it would take her 6 years and 6 years for her investment or her loan, which would now double. So she would no longer owe in 6 years, she
Right.
would owe 20,000. Okay. Yeah. So see, some people say, oh, now I know why I'm having trouble. But see, that's who's getting the 12% because they're taking your money you put in the bank
Yeah.
and then they're loaning it in credit cards at
Mm-hmm.
12%. So the spread that they're making, that's what it's called, a spread, they're making over 11% on your money.
Yeah.
Okay. And giving it back to you. Okay. So we got to think different.
Yeah.
And so we have to think about how we're going to get out of debt, but
Mm-hmm.
also how we need to put our money in places where it's growing better and
Okay.
at a higher interest rate. We got to know what the interest rates are about, and many people have credit cards, and I've sat with them through their financial needs analysis, which is what we do for folks for free.
Uh-huh.
If you have a plan, then you know you're not planning to fail. But without a plan, you are definitely planning to fail.
Right.
And so when we do this, and I ask people, what's the interest rate you're paying on your credit card? It's like, the deer in headlight. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah.
I just keep paying, and I don't know why it just keeps growing. Well, that's why it's growing because the rule of 72 is taking place. It's going to double, and it's doubling depending upon what the interest rates are. And we have interest rates as high as 30%. So
Mm-hmm.
you divide that in there, that means like almost every 3 years that money's doubling. You
Mm-hmm.
know, so these are the things that you can't. And when you're getting into money, you've got to know these things. And the interest rate on an average savings account right now across the country, I hate to tell you, is about 0.09. And that means that your money will double every 800 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know
Yeah.
if everybody
Do I have the 800-year youth juice? No.
I'm like, well, this might be a little bit difficult. If you know someone or you're in debt, there are formulas that you can use to get yourself out. The largest debt that's here is the college loan debt,
Yeah.
and I'm so against college loans.
Yeah.
You can go to what's now called Candid, but it used to be called oh goodness, it's no longer called it anymore. I guess that's why the Foundation Library. That's what it was. Foundation Library for Research. And you could go and find your money so that you could go to school or deal with your projects. And it's still there. Candid .org. It's there. But
Mhm.
people go through the easiest thing. When you go, you got accepted into school. The first thing you do is you take what they give you. They give you job, the work study,
Mhm.
give you some money, and then they give you that loan.
Mhm.
And that's why we hold a program also called College Loan Freedom, because there are programs out there to get you out. If you know,
Okay.
give me a call, let me know. I'll
Mhm.
I'll lead you to the water, get you out of that. And the other one is medical bills. We pay, and all this stuff going on with COVID. Who knows what people are going to wind up paying? So
Mm.
these are the things we have to pay attention to. And then when you have to, I know we're in the age of technology, but we need to write down all of our debt and the interest rate and what we pay. We need to see it. We need
Okay.
to see it in our face. And then once you see that, then at that point, you can figure out how you're going to do what they call the snowball effect. You're
Mhm.
going to start with the debt that has the highest interest rate and the balance, and pay that one the most money and pay the others minimum. And
Mhm.
then you're going to take, after you've paid that, you're going to roll that money into the next debt and start paying that down. And before you know it, you'll become debt free.
Mhm.
I didn't say get rid of your credit cards though, did I?
No.
You need to have credit cards, because if nobody will loan you money and you can't prove anybody's going to loan you money, you
Mhm.
can't get no credit.
Yeah.
Okay, so therefore you need to make sure that you keep certain cards, at least have two credit cards open,
Mhm.
so that you can, but that doesn't mean you max them out.
Yeah.
You can have no more than 23% of your entire allocated access to credit, no more than 23% spent on a constant basis.
Mhm.
So that means do not max them out. And also, these folks who are out here, because I know how it gets. I know for artists, you have the feast and the famine side. So, it's like, well, I'll put it on a credit card, I'll pay it off when I get, my royalty check.
You're right.
The royalty check comes, but then you needed to take a trip to Europe because there was an audition, so it didn't get paid. Okay.
Right.
Start to ruin your credit.
Mhm.
So, you need to sit with someone, and we do have some counselors on staff that will work with you to help you with that.
Mhm.
Because sometimes we treat debt like almost cancer.
Yeah.
When you get that cancer notice, people stop talking, they don't tell anybody that they got it, they're sick. Even now with the COVID, people aren't even telling them that they got the COVID, okay? It's some kind of embarrassment. When you're in debt, people go to the witness protection program. They,
Right.
they won't talk about it.
Yeah.
And you can get out of it. It can be done.
Mhm.
So the second step is your emergency fund. This I always have fun with, because you need to have money for emergencies. This is example of what is going on right now, where all of Broadway got shut down,
Oh.
got their
Yes.
unemployment checks, right? They got their unemployment check, which if you're in New York, that didn't do anything, because that extra $600 barely got you over. But to have at least 3 to 6 months worth of your take home, that's what it took us about 6 months of us coming out sort of this COVID.
Right.
So if you had an emergency fund, you could have relaxed.
Right.
And so I have a little game. I think that it's important that we have fun with savings.
Mhm.
So some people say, well, look, I'm going to put this away and I'm not going to think about it. I'm like, that's wonderful. I haven't met anybody who hasn't done the dance of the dip.
Yeah.
I'm doing that. Okay, I'll put it back.
Yeah.
So when you get that lump sum check that we were talking about for, that people get, and then they're like, what to do? Put away enough of, you have to do your budget. I know I'm cursing now. I said budget. People don't love that. They hate that word. But you got to see, what is my expenses? And I need to have at least 3 to 6 months of that put to the side.
Mhm.
And I'm not going to touch it. And if I do need to touch it for an emergency, I need to put it back.
I think that's the hardest part, though, Yana. I feel like the
Mhm.
discipline is the hardest part. And we have to figure out a way, because all of these other things that are coming in, because we already know the economic pressure that's happening to us now. It's like, how do we put that away? How do we save it for a situation like COVID?
Now, like grandma used to say, if you make 25 cents, 5 cents need to go away.
True. That's
Okay.
very true. That's
You
very
know, and not touched. And we've got to get out of the, and we, well, let me put it this way. We need to have the difference between the needs and the wants.
true. Mm-hmm.
I need to eat.
Yep.
I may want that $5,000 purse, but I need to eat. I need to have a roof over my head.
Yeah.
Okay. So but the way to get out of this and to help you is to have a financial advisor that you're going to visit. Because I know I have clients of mine, and some of y'all may be listening out there, is that they may dread that 6 month review. Because
Uh-huh.
I'm going to say, where's the money?
Mm-hmm.
There you go. There's ways to also automatically save and make it a little difficult for you to get to the money, but you
Mm-hmm.
have to take a few steps.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I tell them, okay, we're going to put this money away, and I'm going to have the password, and you can't get it till you talk to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
And
Right.
that's why now I don't have a lot of clients come together because people are talking, yeah, she did that to me too. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is that I say is that they look back and they see they have something to
Yeah.
happen. And
Mm-hmm.
that's important. And so that runs into what we have here. This is a little fun thing. This is called my feast and famine chart. And I'll be glad to send it to anybody who wants it. They just have to hit me up and send me an email to say I'd like to have that feast and famine chart. But this is saved. This is, as you can see, in some spots, it's a whopping zero. And in some spots, it goes to $60. What
Mm-hmm.
is that? This represents 52 weeks in a year. And you can start it at any point, 52 weeks. And you cross off for every week. Now, when stuff gets really rough and you can't put anything in, you put the zero, but you only get one time to do that. One
Okay.
week you may put $8 away. The next week you may put $3 away. Before you finish that year out, you will have saved $1,000. Now,
Mm-hmm.
some people would look and say, that ain't a lot of money. I need more than that. Yeah, but it's more than what you were saving before,
And say that. Yes.
you know? And so that's the I don't dip money. And then there's another game I love, and I tell folks to play it with their children because your children will tell on you. If you know how we become, whether we know it or not, we become magicians when we have a $20 bill.
Mm-hmm.
Because we like David Copperfield, as soon as we spend that, as soon as we take it someplace and break that 20, it disappears.
Yeah.
Poof, where'd it go?
Yeah.
And so I have a game called Hoard Your Fives. So
Mm-hmm.
what does Hoard Your Fives do? When you get at the end of the day, and it's again, to thine own self be true, at the end of the day, you look in your wallet, and if you got a $5 bill, you need to hoard it. Put it
Mm-hmm.
away. It
Mm-hmm.
does not get touched. You can put it in a jar.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately we can put it into some of the investment vehicles, but you put it away.
Mm-hmm.
And so, a way I found this, I was doing a presentation for Delta Sigma Theta in Jersey, and the young lady saw my other charts and how to save, and she's like, I did the hoard your fives, but I had a $50 bill, and this man gave me five fives, and I
Mm-hmm.
was like, you better find some tens in there.
Yeah.
I got this hoard your five thing going.
Yeah.
So this is just a mechanism to help you to start to save.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go to the cash flow. Now I know a lot of artists may relate to this. This is called the gig economy. They even get a game name for it. When things get tough and you don't have a gig that
Yeah.
you want to do, you wind up doing another type of gig like dog walking, sharing accommodations, like what is it, the Airbnb, babysitting, whatever, give you some extra money.
Right.
And so what is really, that's what the gig economy is. And who's gigging? You got to look at it. This is just something part-time. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's not your full-time, but there are things that you can do. Like right now, I'm seeing there are a lot of people who are willing to pay people just to help them work their computer because they have no way of communicating
Mhm.
with
Mhm.
people, or they couldn't pay, they couldn't do the COVID benefit loan,
Mhm.
economic disaster injury loan, which if you're self-employed and you're an actor or an artist, guess what? You qualified.
Mm. Mhm.
But a lot of people didn't figure out how they should fill it out. And that's by going, is they got another round, and it's at sba.org. No,
Okay.
.gov. I'm sorry, sba.gov.
Mhm.
You can apply. You know, just because you're self-employed doesn't mean that you couldn't get anything. A matter of fact, you're in a better position if you have an S corp, a C corp. Well, no, S corp and or a partnership or a sole proprietorship. You were eligible. And you
Okay.
still are. You could, you know, you can get some money to
Mhm.
work with. You know, um, the other part that I say to folks is turn your passion into a profit.
Right.
Does that mean? It means, okay, you may be an awesome, like you are, an awesome singer. And you know, but turn that passion when things get slow into maybe sharing with a group of children, you
Mm.
know, setting up a nonprofit program where you go in and you can get some money there. Okay. Hint, hint. Uh, but those are the things, you know, you can do. Take whatever you can do at 7 o'clock in the morning and still do it at 7 o'clock at night, and you've
Right.
gotten up from it other than to maybe eat and go to the bathroom, that's
Mm.
your passion.
Yeah.
Now you need got to find out how people going to pay you for this.
Mhm.
And so, you know, a lot of actors and artists wind up going to become waiters,
Mhm.
and you know that gives them more flexibility. But there's so many other different gigs out here that they can do, even part-time being a financial advisor. If
Right.
you like helping people, you
Mm.
know, that's a gig.
Yeah.
And you can do it. Not every firm allows a part-timer, but
Mhm.
the firm that I found does part-time. Okay.
Okay.
Renting out a room. I know one of my clients rented out one of her rooms. You know, you gotta be careful. Okay.
Mhm.
But you can do it. Some people, you know, utilize their cars, you know, sharing, you know, riding, you know, with each other, you know, uh,
Uber.
right, the pooling, their clothes, you know, they
Mhm.
put that on TV all the time, how you can sell your clothes, you know,
Mhm.
people, you know, things like that. Who gigs? You see what the age group? 44% of giggers are 18 to 34, and 51% of them make over $50,000. That tells you what state of we're in this at this period.
Mhm.
66% of them have at least a college degree, and 83% of them are full-time employed. So,
Mhm.
you know, no problem in gigging and doing a cash flow situation. You got to put together your budget because your budget is going to discern what you need to put away in your emergency fund,
Mhm.
and understand what that is. Because when you have those feast and famine times as artists, you need to know that at least you've covered one major thing, your rent or
Mhm.
your mortgage.
Okay.
Okay? Don't let that go.
Yeah.
You know, you need to put that to the side. You know, we can eat crackers and applesauce. Okay. But
Right.
we need to have a roof over our head.
Yes. Yes.
So, you know, that's the whole purpose of really working on your budget. And sometimes you can't do that by yourself. You need to sit with someone.
Right.
The other thing is proper protection. And I'm going to bring this home to some serious stuff because I am so sick of seeing GoFundMe accounts because people have died or fish fried. I look
Mm.
at it. And it's the key is that we've only in most of our communities been taught that insurance was only when we die.
Yeah.
Well, the wealthy use insurance to basically minimize taxes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mm.
the living benefit of life insurance. There's, you know, some people look at it and say, okay, well, I got a term insurance. Yeah, that's nice. But I'll explain that quite well here, is that there are different types of strategies and different types of insurances. Here we call it the dime method. It's you take your debt, your income, your mortgage or your rent, your education expenses if you have children or you doing it, minus what insurances you have in place.
Mm-hmm.
You do that and you check to see. So here you should have at least 10 times your annual income. Now that's kind of difficult for some artists because again, we have a feast and famine.
Right.
The thing is that you look to see how much do I really need to cover? If I drop dead right now, will my family be able to make it?
Mm-hmm.
Or are they going to call GoFundMe?
Mm-hmm.
And so you take your household income, for this example is 50,000, and you want to consider having at least a $500,000 policy. Now, at that point, some people say, well, I'm young, I'm healthy. Do I really need to have that much insurance? Well, if you look at it, here's another approach to it. Think about your family's future and you start assigning dollars to it. What's your long-term or your short-term debt? Remember, we were talking about debt.
Mm-hmm.
Then we take the long-term goals that you have, the trips, businesses, the things you want to accomplish. And then you take your annual income that you're making and you add that together and what you need to set aside for emergency money. And you put that all together, add it all up, and that's what you need to have as far as coverage.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we calculate that.
Okay.
So you need this coverage, but the key is I'm putting money into this policy and I'm growing. I've got some cash value. That's what they call it. Well, you're growing with that money is growing tax deferred. So Uncle Sam does not get a piece of that.
Okay.
Part is that you can take money, you can borrow up to 90% of the policy's cash value and take it out and not really pay it back. You could, and you get to keep it tax free.
Oh.
Okay, here we go. This is how the wealthy have done this. Now the thing is that when you do that, that's going to lessen the face value of your policy. So
Right.
the example, but you're dead. Do you really care?
Mhm.
Okay. You
Right.
got you needed to have that money. And that's what's important is to use vehicles that will help you that you don't have to pay taxes. Right now you put $10,000 into the bank and you probably will get $10 at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to pay taxes on that.
Mm-hmm.
Why not utilize it two ways? I'm not against the banks. I'm just saying we got to use all the vehicles that we have. So
Mm-hmm.
life insurance works. Now, some people would look and say, well, I'm young. Why do I need life insurance? Because in most communities, we have something called the trifecta: hypertension, diabetes,
Yeah.
cholesterol. Okay.
Yeah.
And if something happens when we turn 50 years old, I didn't get these glasses until I turned 50. I was like, what happened? You know, so you're more insurable, you pay less in insurance, and more can go into the investment structure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And this will help you with the feast and famine time. And
Mm-hmm.
not only life insurance, I'm going to talk to you guys about being independent. Because you're independent, that means that if you're not working, where's the money going to come in?
Right.
There were people who were laid up and they were disabled, quote unquote, but really disabled. So
Mm-hmm.
we need to look into disability insurance
Mm-hmm.
to see that we're covered, our health insurance. Now, there's a lot of things, and people have to sit with me because I can't tell the secret about the health insurance. But you can get health insurance out here and not pay an arm and a leg for it.
Right.
Okay? But you need to set yourself up because remember, we were talking about how you set up your business.
Mm-hmm.
Well, your business allows you to have the employees to have a group insurance and a health insurance.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you can do that and set that up so that you can basically pay yourself. You're just saying that you're the only employee.
Right. Right.
But that's okay. And there's a difference between term insurance and permanent insurance. Term insurance, I like to liken it to rent.
Mm-hmm.
You pay it, you didn't die, you were betting that you were going to die. The insurance company bet that you're going to live, and you live.
Yeah.
Or you don't have nothing to show for it but 12 payments.
Right.
Permanent insurance does give you the opportunity to get some type of growth off of that money. That's all the difference between it. And there's different types of insurances. Term insurance lasts for a specific time, usually no more than 30 years. They say they're 10 to 20, but it goes to up to 30, especially when you're young. But then after that 30 years, so you bought it when you were 20, now you're 50. The insurance companies are like casinos. They always win.
Yeah.
So
Right.
that money,
Exactly.
that's it. So you're going to pay some more,
Mm-hmm.
pay higher premiums when you could have paid lower and stopped paying. You
Mm-hmm.
know, nobody, that's where I get fault a lot of the people who are in the insurance industry. They want you to pay premiums till you die. But
Right.
these policies, you can stop. You can
Yeah.
stop paying at a point and let
Yeah.
them go on their own. So that's basically the difference there. You know, I'm not going to belabor it, but that is one of the elements we do have to look at because we do need to make sure that our affairs are in order. And that's step 5. Haha. Okay. And so after you've done everything to protect your principles, your saving, you're outpacing inflation. Okay. These are the things that you have to do now and reduce taxes. Did you
Yeah.
know that there is, and that's the key. First, we're going to talk a little bit about inflation and taxes, and then I'm going to give you the wealth formula.
Mm-hmm.
Inflation, what is it? It's our buying power. So when someone cuts you a contract and says that you're going to get paid a certain amount for the next 5 to 10 years, you need to keep in your mind, is my dollar going to stretch?
Mm.
What I made $10,000 this year is not the same going, I'm not going to be able to pay for the same bills and everything even next year because things go up. Inflation goes up at about, right now it's at 2.5%. That's my spending power. To break it down kind of simple in my head was I said I always like to bring things to the level of reality. 10 years ago, you went to the store, you wanted to buy a Hershey bar, you could buy 4 Hershey bars for $1.
Mm-hmm.
Go to the store today and try to buy one Hershey bar. You
$1.
get $1.49.
Right.
So there it is. That's inflation. I can't buy the same things that I did buy in the past. I can't buy them now. So when you're dealing even with your contract, you got to consciously think, okay, they're offering me $100,000 for 5 years straight. In 5 years, either I got to come up with an idea of where am I going to put this money to make it grow faster, or I'm not going to have enough money to live on, and I can't sit on
Mm-hmm.
the stool and sing my song because I don't have enough money to make it.
Right.
And then we got to deal with taxes. You know taxes.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that is inevitable. And so when we deal with our wealth formula, we have to have a little money, we have to have some money, we have to have time. This get rich quick thing going on, because there's some get rich quick schemes going on right now. You're going to be gifting money to folks, and I'm throwing it out there. Yeah, I said it. But when you do that, you need time. Nothing comes fast, doesn't go fast. It goes away fast.
Mm-hmm.
And issues come. Then you need to have rates of return. What's
Mm-hmm.
my interest rate? We talked about the rule of 72. And then we have to deal with inflation and above all taxation. And that's the wealth formula.
Mm-hmm.
So when we're looking at our money, when we're putting it away, we need to follow that formula. And
Mm-hmm.
we need to make sure that we stay on track with
Mm-hmm.
our goals, our dreams, and you need to sit again with a financial advisor or also an accountant to see, how do I protect myself?
Mm-hmm.
Because this money may not last forever. And
Mm-hmm.
this is what we call the true element of how money works. And that is, if you're in your 20s, you probably look and say, I'm too young to save for my retirement. Hmm. No, you're not.
Mm-hmm.
Every time you should put away a little something.
Mm-hmm.
Let time stop being your boss, but it's really your boss. And the example of it, I'm going to skip a little bit here to show this chart because I can explain it better than that, all those words. Okay. If you're in your 20s and you plan on retiring at age 65, you probably are 25 and in 40 years you plan on retiring, you could, with an interest rate of 5%, put away $655.30 per month, and you will have $1 million in those 40 years. But if you wait, and this is the cost of waiting, is that if you wait and now you're 40 years old and you're looking at retirement, you need to put away $2,432.89.
Mm.
Yeah, you see the difference? Now, if you had just done that when you were young, and you could have stopped and let it grow. But no, now you're in your 40s. Now you got to do something.
Mhm.
And some people are doing this because one spouse is putting the money away for the retirement and the other person is paying the bills. You just better have a good contract that that person who's putting away is not going to go away. Okay. But if you only have 10 years, which means you're 50 years old or 55 years old, you got to put away $6,439 a month. And that's probably not going to happen. Okay. And when we wait till that ripe old age of 60, you got to put away over $14,000. You're probably already a millionaire. Okay. So utilizing some of the vehicles that I just talked about before with insurance, putting away money when you're young and letting it grow, you have the opportunity to save when you have, and especially if it's a living benefit of life insurance like an IUL or something, that
Mhm.
will allow you to put money away in your good times and not put away so much when you're having rough times. It's called a
Right, right.
flexible premium. It's flexible,
Okay.
but you got to do something.
Mhm.
And the last but not least is the preservation of your estate. We have experienced a lot of our artists, and I'm going to bring up the Aretha really pissed me off. Okay, so I got to bring it up because they said that they tried to talk to her to do a will,
Mhm.
and she wasn't having it. And I understand old school, but
Mhm.
she had an estate of over $80 million, and right now the courts are eating into it that it's around about 40,000, right? 40 million right now. And some people say, well, 40 million ain't bad, but you know, when half your money is going to other people that you don't love and adore,
Absolutely.
that'll piss you off. And a matter of fact, IRS uses her as an example in its classes. Because
Mm.
when I sat in class, they threw it at us. You know, they said, you got to talk
Mhm.
to your clients about preserving their estate. And I was like, yeah, that's true. Because you know what happened to Aretha? And I was like, oh my gosh, you know. And it's true. We have too many artists who died and they don't have their money either in a trust or
Mm.
they don't have their money going into, have a will set up. And if
Yeah.
they have children, if you have minor children, I'm going to say this right now. You are doing them all this service if you have not put at least a trust and a will together. It
Mhm.
doesn't cost that much, but you need to have something because if you have a minor child and something happens to you, who's going to take care of that child?
Yeah.
You know, that's the question you got to ask. Who's the guardian? Now, you got people, I'll tell you one thing. This is one of my secrets is that, you know, a child with money, people want to take care of that child more than they do with the child. They love the child, but they want the child to come with some money.
Mhm.
Okay. You can't give a child a minor, you can't put them down as beneficiaries. If you do, the courts will take charge and designate who is going to take care of their money and
Okay.
they will mandate the money to go into the bank
Mhm.
at that 1% or 0.09% interest rate. You don't want that.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
So you need, you know, and we just had an actor, and I'm sorry his name escapes me, but he was on Broadway and he got hit with the COVID. And the first thing was he went into a coma. They amputated his leg. And I think it was yesterday, he passed away at age 41. I
Mhm.
am praying. This is how I talk. And some of my friends, they say, Yana, do you ever say anything else? I said, no. I said, I hope they had their affairs in order.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
important. You know,
Mhm.
will we die? Yeah, eventually. But
Mhm.
the thing is, suppose we don't die.
Yeah.
Suppose we just can't speak for ourselves.
Yeah.
paperwork in order. That's so important, you know, and with the fact that we have all different types of mixed families, it's
Hmm.
such a hard situation when you have a partner of yours and because you didn't give them a health proxy or you didn't sign the form, they can't even come and see you, you know, and this is minus COVID because COVID, no one can get in the room.
Yeah.
But, you know, these are the things you have to. And it prevents probate when you have the will put together, a living trust. This is what I want done. And secondly, this is what I want with my estate. You know how many families break up over what somebody said they were going to give me and I didn't get it?
Oh
And I'm
yeah,
not,
yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah.
you know, so these are the things that we have to put together. And again, I'll say to folks who have children who turn the age of 18, guess what? Your child is no longer a child, they're an adult.
Hmm.
They have a right to tell you not to be in the room.
Hmm.
But if you get them to fill out these forms, and you know you have the right, you know that at age 18 they go to college, they have to give permission for you to even get their grades.
Hmm.
There's a form for that. Now, some parents put their foot down and say, "You're going to sign this form," but they
Right.
don't have to. They're adults.
Hmm.
So these are the things you have to put up in order for your life to be right. It's a terrible thing that you earn this money, you become, you know, the star that you wanted to be, or you just are able to do stuff, background work and stuff, and you're happy and you've gathered this money together, and then it all goes to the courts.
Hmm.
No good. You
Yeah.
know, it doesn't make sense to do that to you or your family. And the thing is that, you know, if we put everything in order, then we can sleep at night, you
Yeah.
know, and that's even more important. So this is all of the 6 steps rolled out. The first step of all, I sort of shifted because really 7 steps,
Hmm.
but it's really about being able to do the first step, which is get a financial education, a little one, okay? Get the book, you know,
Yeah. Get
and
the.
then, and then deal with your debt, your emergency fund, your budget, your cash flow, your proper protection, build wealth, and then make sure you preserve that wealth. And I take from Oprah, I agree with her, sign your own doggone check.
Yeah.
Make sure you know where that money is going.
Yeah.
So that's my presentation. In a nutshell, is that, you know, just I hope you learned something there.
Hmm.
But I'm open to questions. You know, I know we got some time. I'm open to it, but these are the things that you need to put together as an independent artist. You can't not know about this. You've got
Right.
to. Hmm.
Right. Thank you, Yana. Like this was. It's still so much
I know
information.
it's a lot.
No, because the thing is, though, is I think just because of how we think as artists, it is sometimes it feels like it's overwhelming. But everybody out there, Yana is available for her services.
Yes, I
I, for one, use her because every time we talk, I'm constantly getting educated because I fell in the trap of, just not knowing what to do, So if you have any questions to ask Yana or myself, please feel free. We're going to be on here for a little bit longer. Not too much longer, but a little bit long, like 10 more minutes, I believe.
okay.
And then yeah, so really, Yana, it's blowing my mind because the conversations we had last week were really good too.
And
um
that's the thing I want to do, and I'm going. That's why I said I'm going to, and you'll. Oh, there's one of my dear friends, Lynette. She came
yeah.
on. I'm glad. Thanks. Um, the thing is that what I want to do is envision. I'm envisioning our country where we are all independent. Now, there's going to be some worker bees. We need
Of
some people.
course,
You
of
know, we
course.
need people to take care of wardrobe and all that stuff, and we got to pay them a salary. Yes, and even them, they can do an independent contract.
Absolutely.
But you know, I see where we need to be more independent and
Hmm.
be out here creating our wealth instead of someone else determining your wealth. And I do make that statement that I'm not the greatest person with being W-2'd, because when you're a W-2 employee, that job is determining where you live, what you eat, where you go, how you travel. I hate to say it, but one of my coworkers years ago said it. He said that salary sounds a lot like slavery.
Mhm. Yeah.
Run and
Yeah. Yeah.
and so I would say to anyone, I will continue on my mission. My mission and my passion is to bring financial literacy to this country. It is so, but even more to the urban community and
Yeah.
independent artists.
Yes.
I don't want any more people, where like Red Fox, where they're taking all of their stuff. I don't want that. I don't. The biggest hurt that I had years ago was Peebo Bryson, because I love me some Peebo. Okay, but
Yeah.
Peebo Bryson, they took his Grammy.
Yeah.
IRS took his Grammy. Where'd they go with it?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to auction it off for pennies. Or somebody in IRS is going to just say, "Oh, I can purchase this." Not right.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can catch this while people are becoming artists or starting, that's why I think this organization is so important. We could just catch you ahead of time and
Mm-hmm.
you won't make those mistakes. Or even if you stumble a little, you got somebody that can sit with you and say, okay, now you needed to pay that quarterly that I told you to pay,
Yes.
and you didn't pay all of them. So
Yeah.
now we got to go in and negotiate. We got to negotiate a little bit. But at
Mm-hmm.
least you're not in the point where there's tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars hitting you at once. And
Mm-hmm.
now they're coming for your home. They're
Mm-hmm.
coming for your cars, your jewelry. They're taking everything away from you. And
Mm-hmm.
then, worst of worst would be you wind up in jail,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And for the record, Wesley did pay his taxes. They
Mm-hmm.
just wanted more. Okay. And
Wow.
they needed somebody who had to be an example.
I was
So
about to say to make an example out of him, huh?
there it is. Him and Lauryn Hill, all of them, they made examples out of them. And what happened in the community of artists? Everybody got scared. They were
Mm-hmm.
like, uh-oh, I got to do something, but I don't know what to do. So,
Yeah.
like I said, is that I am open. I have about 15 reps who are able to do financial needs analysis for you. You always wind up with me somewhere. I'm going to do the recommendations because
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like that. Uh, I haven't learned to release yet. It's coming. But right now, they can at least give guidance and help. And that's what I think is so important. Okay. Is there a fee? No, there is not a fee to sit down with me. The only thing that I do say where the fee comes in, because everybody says there's always a hidden fee. And the hidden fee is that if I did right by you, then you recommend me to somebody else,
Mm-hmm.
help somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
That's the most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
I have had it. I've had clients who have said, I'm not telling anybody about you.
Oh
Then you won't have no time to work with.
no.
But I came back into the industry to help artists.
Mm-hmm.
I retired from Wall Street when I was 38 years old. I just,
Wow.
last week, I turned 62. And so, you
Oh,
know,
wow.
I'm
Just beautiful and just right. Okay.
So my thing is that if we can help someone, okay, where am I located? I'm physically located in New York City, in Manhattan. My office is at 116 West 23rd Street, but I know how to Zoom,
Yes.
Google, was that Google? They don't call it Google Meets.
Yeah.
I know FaceTime,
Yeah.
you know, it used to be back in the days when I first started, you had to be face to face, toe to toe with a client. And now, you can, thank you, Lynette. That's a sweet statement. um, but you can, now we can talk to folks across the country. There's
Mm-hmm.
no barriers. I
And I
think
agree with you that you have changed my whole life. I mean, really, really, because a lot of people don't have the patience to sit and to explain and to have some sense of understanding. You know what I mean? Some people, you probably go to a financial advisor, they crunch the numbers, here's your information, boom, I'll take your money and go. But there's a sense of understanding that you teach, you know, I mean, that's what's important, is that you teach so you can understand like what you're getting into, where your money is going, what you
That's so important. It's important to know because, though I feel I'm going to live forever, that might not happen. And so you need to know and you
yeah,
pass it on, so that people will understand what they're doing. People, if my statement is that if you knew better, you would do better, you
yeah,
know, and I just don't want to see, there's going to be some artists, we're going to hear about them, that they think that all their finances were taken care of,
mm-hmm.
and they weren't.
Mm-hmm.
They allowed people, accounting firms, and I'm not downing any accounting firms. You need them. The thing is that when you're looking for what's happening with your money, you need to look. And if you don't understand, and the person won't explain it to you,
Mm-hmm.
I have a client that came to me a few years ago, and she said, I fired my accountant because I just asked one question.
Mm-hmm.
He went off talking about why you need to know this. You're keeping my time, da, da, da.
Yeah.
Or what they're doing is that they tell you wind up going to what I call the factory,
Mm-hmm.
H&R Block, Jackson Hewitt,
Mm-hmm.
and all they do is give me the paperwork, and they don't ask you any questions.
Questions. Yeah.
They need to know, especially for you artists, they need to know what you do.
Yeah.
And if certain things are deductible.
Right.
If you're taking a special class that will help you to, uh, for a certain, uh, for a play, and for a certain part or role, and you've got to embody, hey, there's a deduction there because that's going to generate money.
Right.
Okay, at what age should children start to learn about money? As soon as they learn how a penny plus a penny equals two.
Yeah.
You need to teach your child immediately and talk about it at the dinner table if you have a dinner table.
Yes.
Because people don't have dinner tables anymore, but you need to talk. And you got to make it fun for them.
Right.
Teach them little things. There's one of our friends for Soul City, Sabrina Lamb. She has something called the World of Money, and it's with children that go learn about money. And I remember one time talking to her, and she said that one of the kids learned about the difference between renting and owning.
Mm.
Parent and said, why paying somebody else's mortgage?
Mm-hmm. Oh.
So
Oh.
got to educate. So I think that children should learn about money like I said, as soon as they can put two. I think, well, the teasing joke for me is when I was growing up, my mother said I really wasn't enticed with the ABC thing, but I loved to watch the nickels, dimes, and quarters. I didn't like pennies, but
Mm-hmm.
nickels, dimes, and quarters, and being able to stack them and add them.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't play house, I played store.
Mm-hmm. You okay?
Okay. That is my thought. So if you introduce these things, and they're introduced to children. I don't know about the cartoons now, but I learned about, money was when it was Elmer J. Fudd, he was a millionaire. He owned a mansion and a yacht. So I walked
Mm-hmm.
up to my mother and told her, I'm JB Woodhouse and I'm a millionaire and I'm going to own a mansion.
Yeah. Okay.
Put it in their
I love
mind.
that.
Also, when you earn the money, and you as artists, you build,
Mm-hmm.
and I implore you, I see the website up. You got to go and join this organization, be a part of it. But
Mm-hmm.
when you do that, so you make this money, and then what happens? The children get it, and you haven't taught them anything,
Yeah.
and they spend it all. It's
Yeah.
gone.
It's true.
That's why trusts are important because
Mhm.
trust will speak from the grave.
Yeah.
If I have a client. Yeah, my
Great.
client.
Yeah.
She is not dying yet, but she decided that her children were not going to get a dime,
Yep.
And her grandchildren can only get money out of her trust if they show a certificate of higher learning. She didn't say they had to go to college, but they have to have some kind of field or some certificate higher than just grammar school.
There you go. Okay. Can you
And
explain
that
trust to
might
them?
be. I don't know if I have enough time to to answer what a trust is, but a trust is a way of a trust can exist on as many as ideas you have. You can
Mm-hmm.
have a trust, and it basically takes that ownership and moving of money out of your hands. But you got the side eye. You can you own nothing, but you control everything. And if you have to have a trustee, someone who you trust,
Mm-hmm.
play on words, who will be able to move the money
For
and
you.
for
Okay. Okay.
you and protect you if something should happen that you get sued. Even they can't touch your trust.
Mm.
Okay, so it's a protection vehicle,
Wow.
and it can be a protection against Medicaid, that you Medicare trust and stuff like that, or it could be just a family trust
Mm-hmm.
where we get to say where the money goes. And one little quick secret, because I know we're limited on time, but people who have trust, if you notice, people who are wealthy, they all have trust and they also have a foundation. And
Mm-hmm.
the foundation has its own purpose. But one of the major purposes, how people have that student loan issue? I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
tell you a little secret about that. You can have your child go and build up all of that debt on student loan. Now, isn't there a rule that's out there that you can get a forgiveness of your student loan if you had low income and you worked for a nonprofit, i.e., foundation? Yes. And you can go work for your foundation. Okay. You can draw a small salary, 20, 30,000. Okay. And you put in for loan forgiveness, 10 years. Hello. But the trust is paying your income. They're paying your bills.
Okay, everybody here, she just okay, you dropping jewels. Where's my stuff right now? Come on, Yana. Wow, really?
And there's a lot of people who do that. I found out the hard way recently because I was trying to understand why Warren Buffett and Bill Gates were saying they were not going to leave their children any money. And they were like, they're going to give it all to charity. And
Yeah.
I was like, I don't believe that. So
Yeah.
finally, I got a chance to understand how trust, foundations, and endowments work. And I
Mm,
said, oh, so Warren Buffett, no, he is not leaving his daughter a red copper cent, but he's giving her a certain amount every year to her endowment and to her foundation,
I see.
hmm of which she can draw. There's that thing again. You remember I said it's what the IRS calls
Reasonable.
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 You're
Yeah.
supposed to have a reasonable element to you being able to create an income, a reasonable effort to making that money grow in an endowment. Reasonable. Hmm
Okay. I love you, Yana, with the smile on her face too. Dropping
I love
all
this
these
stuff. I
jewels.
can't even make this stuff up. I didn't create it, but boy, the thing is that I'm not
Mm,
saying that you can't, people think and they say, oh, I'm going to set up a business and then I get to write off everything. No, I want to make money. I want to make lots of money and
right.
keep making money.
Right.
But I got to set it up properly. And that's what we as artists, independent advisors, I'm one that I don't can't really remember. Yes, at some point I did work for somebody at a time, but
Mhm.
for most of my life I didn't because when I was 8 years old, my dad told me, he said, look, he who writes the check is free. And
Okay.
so I was like, I got it,
Hmm.
I got it. And so I needed to understand, how do I write the check? And I
Hmm.
think about it now, when people were boasting about LeBron James making that $83 million contract and everybody was like, well, we wanted to do it. I said,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't want to do that. I want to be the person who wrote his check. Because if I can write a check for $83 million, how much do I have?
Yeah, exactly.
Mindset. We
Mindset.
have to get
True.
into the mindset of
True.
wealth
True.
and that we're deserving. You know,
Mhm.
somebody went and lied and said money is the root of all evil. No, it's the love of money. I need to operate, and being poor ain't fun.
Yeah. Okay.
And that was not what I believe in the kingdom of God. I am to have as much as I desire.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. That's
So
true.
that's what I say to all of the independent artists out there. Get your house in order. Prepare yourself. Make sure that you have everything in order, that you have your bank account ready, that you have your investment strategies, that you have your financial advisor put in place. Have an attorney that you can put, at least get a couple of hours of advice on if you can't pay them a full retainer. They will do it. They're out here.
Mm-hmm.
And make sure that you follow and act. Once you get instructions, like you got information today, act on it. I'm
Yeah.
offering the book. I'm gonna see how many show up.
Mm-hmm. That's
There's a,
it right there.
there we
It's
go. Get
acting
the
on
book.
it.
Act
Acting
on it.
on
You
it.
know, I'm offering a free financial analysis.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see how many really call and say, I'm ready. I want
Yeah.
to do this. I don't care where you are. You know, I have reps all over the country, but you can work with me because as long as you don't mind doing a Zoom or a
Right.
Facebook, FaceTime, you know, I'm there, you know, and again, I have it set up where my associates do the gathering of information so that we can put together a plan,
Mm-hmm.
and then after we put together the plan, then we sit down and basically give it to you and we can send it to you. We can text it. Look, today we got stuff going all over the place. You know, you got technology. We can
Right.
get it to you. But the thing is that once you get it, a plan is only good as what you implement.
Mm-hmm. Listen, to all of you out there, this is free. You understand? This is free. Free. Not a lot of people are offering this. Again, Yana, you have saved my life. And people who have been watching, I know you gave them a wealth full of information tonight. So I can't not thank you enough, Yana, seriously. Because
This
we
is my fulfillment. I'm thankful to you for allowing me to do this. And
thank
I'll
you.
be even more thankful to the people who will do something. Even if you don't do it with me, it's okay. Do something. Find
Mhm.
somebody that you trust,
Yeah.
that you can work with, you know. And yes, done, done.
Yes, I love it. I love
Love
it.
you with that.
And
You
thank
know,
you seriously to Soul City tonight, Soul City Network for putting this on and giving us the platform to do this. This is like seriously blow my mind with the information. Like I got to keep up. Next time I know I'm gonna have my pen and piece of paper. I don't want to keep looking down, but I need to be writing a lot
it's
more
okay.
stuff.
My
Yeah.
next thing is once I get through with these taxes, and God knows if any of y'all are out here, my clients, note that I'm on here and I'm doing this, but this was my break time. And so I'm going back to doing the taxes and getting y'all taken care of. But right behind that, y'all all stay in touch. You know, Liv will keep you abreast, but I'm going to be doing how money works masterclass. I'm going to do E to E, which is employee to entrepreneur. And I'm going to be talking about in those even more deeper, the structure of your business. So,
Mhm.
stay tuned. I just got to get out of this July 15th deal.
Right. Oh goodness. So thank you everyone. Make sure you email Yana. You can reach me at livewarfieldofficial.com. You might want to get one of these t-shirts.
Oh, shoot.
I'll give
Yeah.
you one. I'll send you one, Yana. Uh,
Okay.
Independent Artists at Work. And also you can find us at iaawinc.com. Yes, there it is. For more information, this is just the start of a lot of things: mentorship, community, and involvement. So, thank you, Yana. This was a really helpful piece for us, and thank you, Soul City. This was great. This was really, really, really great. Thank you.
Thank you all. And have a good night and be safe.
Yes. Good night, y'all. Thank you, Yana.
Take care.
She was told that she couldn't play with the boys. She was told that they were too big, too rough, too strong. She was told to give up her dreams and move on. She was told to just be pretty, be quiet, be a lady. She was told that women had to stay on their side of the court, stay in your lane. Playing and competing with men was insane. She was told that men and women would never be equal. Dreaming like that would only be linked to your mind, to your soul. She never listened. She knew that their thinking was old. She is magic. She is the definition of spirit. She is what champions are made of. She is magic.